Hey everybody, welcome to the Tom Parsley channel, where just like parsley we get into a little bit of everything. So let's see what we get into today. So today we're in a park. This is a state park. It's Connecticut State Park, New York State Park. Fun fact about this park, a little bit of history, is that it was the South Shore Sportsman's Club started way back towards the Gilded Age, 1890s or so. And it was a rod and gun club. A lot of the elites would come here, the Vanderbilts and all the rich people. And we have a stocked river over here. Connecticut River runs through here. Connecticut in the Algonquin means Great River, and there's actually a community here called Great River. Go figure. So the headwaters of the Connecticut are up in another park called Lakeland County Park, which is a little bit north of here, spring-fed. And there's two branches of the Connecticut in here. There's the West Brook, which is very close to where we are right now, and the East Brook, which is, surprisingly enough, a little bit east of West Brook. And the two come together, form Connecticut River, which then empties out into Great South Bay, which eventually goes to the Atlantic Ocean. So let's see what we get into today. Let's take a look at where we're at. I just started out in the shade, but let's go out into the sun and see what everything looks like here. Let's turn you around. So basically where we are right now is a fire break or a fire road, because even though over here there's a stormwater drainage basin, which we call on Long Island sumps, when it rains, all of the water gets funneled into these stormwater drainage basins. Basically a hole in the ground, and all of the groundwater is able to percolate back down into our aquifers. And speaking of aquifers, we have 3 aquifers on Long Island for groundwater. Starting at the top is called the Upper Glacial. Then we go to the Lloyd, I think, is the middle, and Magothy is the bottom. I may have that confused. If I have that confused, just put it in the comments which one is the bottom and the middle. And they're separated by a lens of clay, which is impermeable, which means the water can't go through. So we drill down into that water and we get our drinking water here on Long Island. Unfortunately, that top layer, that upper glacial, is pretty much completely contaminated with all kinds of cesspool, effluent, septic tanks, dumping, and all of that stuff. So it's not good for drinking. So don't drink from the upper glacial, but drill down and you get some good fresh water. Okay. Back to where we're at here. So this is a fire break because there's hundreds of acres of woods back here, and this is all fuel, could be potential fuel if there was a fire, which we hope there isn't. And all along here is private property, and we have, like I said, our sump over there. So this is called fire break, and this high grass over here is mowed down once or twice a year by parks people. And ticks, yes, there are ticks. There are 3 types of ticks on Long Island. We have deer ticks, which is what people think of when they think of ticks, because that's where you get Lyme disease from. And the main vector of deer ticks are the mice, the little white-footed mouse. And yeah, you find them on deer, but the mice are the ones that spread the ticks everywhere. And that tick disease, it's called Lyme disease. Mostly everybody on Long Island has been tested positive for it. I think I'm tested positive for it also. I don't remember. I have to check my records. And we also have dog ticks, which carry Rocky Mountain spotted fever. And we have a new guy, the Lone Star tick. And it's an easy tick to identify for 2 reasons. One, it walks or runs really, really fast, and it's got a little white dot on its carapace, on the abdomen, on the back there, and they're all over the place. And that is the tick that you could get. I think it's called alpha-gal, and alpha-gal is when you get allergies to red meat. But if you're a vegan, you're good to go. And also the nymphs, the little young of the Lone Star ticks, that's what you could get covered in if you walk into grass like this over here. They're just, those Lone Star nymphs are all over the place, and if they get on you and they start getting into your skin, it is really, really bad, really painful because it's itchy. So what I try to do is I have my boots on, rubber boots. Are they tick proof? I don't know. I've been pretty lucky with not getting ticks wearing these rubber boots. So enough about ticks. Hopefully we won't get any, but let's see what we can find right out here in the grass. And right away, we've got, this is, by the way, this is October. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's almost October. So this is the end of September, and we have our goldenrod. This is one variety of goldenrod. There's many different varieties of goldenrod on Long Island. Focus. But this is goldenrod that blooms in the fall, and it provides nectar for all of the nectar needing insects like bees, bumblebees, honeybees. Honeybees aren't native, but they do like to hit on the goldenrod. And then just past the goldenrod, we have sweet fern, which is very common here on Long Island, right here. And if you crush up the leaves, it does have this sweet odor. So this is called sweet fern, and it's very common here in the grasses. And like I said, the Parks Department will mow all of this down come fall and keep the brush down, because if you don't mow this grass, you know it'll grow, right? A forest, because the trees will just keep on growing and growing. So we're going to take this trail right over here. We'll walk down and see what we can see. And the first stop is going to be right here. It's an oak tree. And I always had trouble identifying oak trees, whether they're red oaks or white oaks. I know there's a way to tell. And if you know how to tell the difference between red oaks and white oaks, put it in the comments. But here you start to see that, let me zoom in a little bit, that the colors are beginning to change because of the shortened days, shortened daylight. The plant, the tree, is starting to stop creating green chlorophyll. And because there's no more green chlorophyll, you can start to see the other colors of chlorophyll, which are yellow-ish and red. And that's what causes the trees to change color, and then eventually those leaves will drop. This is a deciduous tree, because deciduous trees will drop their leaves. And you can see that this whole margin over here is all oak trees. Now, fun fact, if you want to see some really cool stuff, this right here is called an edge habitat, because we have a field habitat over here, and then we're transitioning into the forest or the woods right over here. So this is where you want to see a lot of cool stuff, right at the edge habitat. And we're going to head into this trail over here, and let's see what we can find. Notice, as you're looking, most of the trees here are oak trees. And oak trees are the dominant species in this forest. And we do have a few, I'm trying to look for one. There's, if you can, right about over there is a pine tree. And this woods, this forest did have a lot of pine trees. But what happened is because of changing environments, changing climate, we got what's called the southern pine beetle. And the southern pine beetle loves this particular species of pine. And because our winters have been mild and not cold enough to kill all the southern pine beetles, the pine beetle has been destroying a bulk of these pine trees. So even though a few are alive, and where's that other one we saw? Oh, there it is. Let me turn around. You get a better view that you're not in the sun now. Right over here is our native pine tree. And that pine tree has been destroyed by the southern pine beetle. Hopefully we'll get a hard winter that will kill a lot of these pine beetles. Hey, right over here, we've got another cool understory. By the way, this forest, the soil is acidic because of all the pine needles. There's another pine tree back there. Because of all the pine needles, it makes the soil slightly acidic. So what we have is blueberries. Blueberries grow really well. And again, this is another type of an edge habitat, because this is kind of like a field because of the trail, but this is all blueberry in here. And cool thing about this blueberry is that the leaves, remember I was talking about the chlorophyll before, the leaves are going to turn a bright, bright red like that. and it's going to be really pretty in a couple of weeks. We're just about the start of the leaf color change here on Long Island. Upstate New York in the Catskills, there it's already starting, and here you can see that the blueberries already are changing color. It's pretty cool. Here's another oak, and like I said before, this is a different kind of oak because of the rounded edges. And again, if you know the difference, please drop it in the comments how you can tell the difference. Red oak, white oak, I don't remember the difference, but it's mostly oak trees in here. And we're gonna see how far we get and see what else we can see here. Oh, ferns. A lot of these ferns have been dying off because it's the end of the season, but there's a lot of ferns deep in the woods here. And this is all blueberry in here. Good thing we don't have bears, because bears love blueberries. So this whole field, all the way in the forest here, is all blueberries. And all in here also. So I was talking about fire before. Luckily, we haven't had a forest fire in here. Some parks do prescribe burns where they do start a little fire just to get rid of the debris, because the more debris you have, the more intense the fire is going to be. And our pine trees on Long Island need fire to survive. So for example, like this debris all over here, this would go up like that, and it would be too hot and too intense of a fire, because a lot of our trees have developed resistance to fire because they need fire to survive. So the resistance is like a thick bark, and pine cones that open up to disperse their seeds. Here's a pine tree that was killed by a pine beetle a couple of years ago, still standing. It does provide habitat for other critters, so we want to try to keep all that up. It's been kind of dry the last couple of days, so it's not, the ground is dry. We haven't had that much water, not much rain. When we do get rain, the mushrooms start to come out, and when the mushrooms come out, it's really cool. So here's a yellow jacket right down here. I just kind of caught him. Could be a nest under there. Let's see if we can zoom in and not get stung. Nope, looks like there is a, nope, that's ants. Sorry, thought there was another yellow jacket, that it might be a hive under there. And we got a little moss. I'm not gonna get too close to that yellow jacket. We got some moss and lichen right over there, and a mosquito. So I'm gonna keep on moving because I don't want to get bit by a mosquito. And we just will keep on going down to the end of this trail here, and let's see what else we can find. And also the forest floor is just littered with what we call decomposers. So it takes a while, but all of these leaves, and all of these leaves that are eventually gonna fall, these leaves are from last year, these all get broken down and added back to the forest soil. And that releases nutrients that all of these trees can then use. All right, that was your moment of Zen. I kept quiet for a little while. So we've got some grass growing over here, and these paths also are used as bridle paths because there are people that live around this park that have horses, equestrian riders, and they use these trails to ride on. And every once in a while, I find a pile, evidence that they were here, and I find horseshoe tracks, and they do maintain the trails. So if there is like a tree that comes down over the trail, they will maintain and clear the trails, which is nice. So thank you. And we'll come to the end of this trail right here. You can see that the trail continues all the way over there. And then it also continues that way to kind of loop back around. And there's some trees that are turning their colors right here. So pretty cool. So we're gonna kind of head back this way, but I'm gonna end the video here. So this is the Tom Parsley channel coming at you. You know, just like parsley, we get into a little bit of everything. And so tune in for the next video, see what we get into next. And now's the time for the trifecta, the three things. You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll see you on the next video. See ya.